Hey everybody, I am happy to be here today on this fine Tuesday. I am Carolyn Byers. I'm the Education Director at Madison Audubon, and today we are going to be talking about butterfly wings. So today, for those of you who don't know, is week 4 of our first round of summer camp, and this week is all about insects. So today we're talking about butterfly wings. And I am going to hop over to the Madison Audubon website here on my computer because I want to be able to read your comments. So let's see, I've got it. If anybody, oops, we're going to be talking about butterfly wings. Gotta mute it. There we go. So if you are a part of camp, or even if you're not a part of camp, add a little line in the comments, say hello, tell me your name, tell me what kind of insects you're excited about, tell me if you've seen any cool butterflies lately. I want to hear about it all. So today we're talking about butterfly wings, and I want to remind everybody that I'm a bird nerd, not an entomologist. I should say I'm an ornithologist or a wildlife ecologist. I know a lot more about birds than I do about insects. So I have some butterfly wings here that we are going to get to explore using my cool little microscope. And we're going to talk a little bit about butterfly flight and some ways to identify them. And I see some people in the comments saying hi. Sam and Sophia are here with us. Hi, Sam and Sophia. I'm really excited to see you today. Thanks for leaving me a message. Okay, so let's talk about butterflies. So yesterday, when I was introducing insects in general, we talked about a few things that make an insect an insect. And some of those things were having 3 parts to their body. And butterflies have that. They have a head, an abdomen, and a thorax. So those are the 3 parts. I like to think about it like building a snow person. Usually you have 3 parts to it. That's like an insect. These insects have they have 3 pairs of legs. You can't see the legs on this one because it doesn't show the back of the butterfly, but they have 3 pairs of legs. And they also have something called bilateral symmetry, which means this side of the butterfly looks like a mirror image of this one. So we could fold it in half like this. Don't do this with a real butterfly, but we could fold it in half and they would match up beautifully. One thing I think is really cool about butterflies is they're so colorful. And that's a really good way to identify them. And I know we've talked a lot before about field marks in birds and what to look for to try to identify a bird. And those field marks are kind of the same thing with butterflies. So you look for, in a bird, you would look for their beak or their wings or their feet, and you would try to see if they were an interesting shape. Or you would look at different spots of color on the bird's body, and you would remember what color it is and where. So butterflies are the same way. And they may not be as different as birds are, but you can see that these butterflies here have different shaped wings. This one's a little pointier than this one. This butterfly is called a swallowtail butterfly because it has long, they look like tails on the ends. Sorry about that. My internet's being a little funny. So these tails here help you know it's a swallowtail. And you can tell that the colors are very different on these. So by looking at where the color is and what color it is, you can use a field guide or a website later to try and figure out what the butterfly is. So if I was looking at this butterfly, its field marks are a yellow background with black stripes and lots of blue spots down here, which is very different from this one. This one is a cool reddish orange color with darker red spots up here, lots of little black spots, and black and yellow along its edge. And this one is called a painted lady butterfly, and this one is called a swallowtail. And there's a lot of different kinds of tiger swallowtails, and I actually don't know which group the painted lady belongs to. Maybe I'll have to look that up later. I'm gonna peek at the comments again because I see that Johnny is saying hi. Hi, Johnny. And let's see what else. Julie says they saw some monarchs yesterday. That's very exciting. I've seen some monarchs. I have seen one of these tiger swallowtails while I was out at a prairie. And I saw a black swallowtail in my garden, which I didn't know was a species of, I had never seen that species before. And when I noticed it had these long tails on it, but that it looked different from this one, I was really curious. So I went to a website to look it up. Chloe's saying hi. Hi, Chloe. Excellent. I love all of the people saying hi. It's nice. So we talked a little bit about butterfly field marks, and those are really important. And I think it's really cool once you start, like I really love birds and I know a lot about them, but trying to identify butterflies is very similar to birds. So I am starting to really enjoy looking at butterflies and bees too. All right, so butterflies are pretty cool. And I was looking up a little bit about butterfly flight while I was preparing for this lesson. And butterflies have enormous wings for their body size. They're really, really large, and not many insects have wings that are so big for their bodies. So this is the body length of this animal, and their wings are longer than their body. That's really, really neat. And I also read that scientists have learned that butterflies can fly with half of their wing missing. So they don't actually need wings this large. I'm sure they would rather not have half of their wing missing. But if, for example, a bird were to grab a butterfly and its wing broke off and the butterfly got free, they could still fly with only half of their wing, which is kind of cool. So when butterflies fly, their flight looks really different than when a bird flies or when a bee flies. Those animals, they tend to have a more direct flight, meaning they fly in kind of a straight line. Not always a straight line, but they look like they have they're deliberate about where they're going. And butterflies to me look really crazy, like they're flying all over the place in every direction, and they're trying really hard to go where they want to go, but they're just not getting there. And it turns out that their body is moving a lot as their wings are flapping, and that's making their wings flap at different angles, and that helps them have it's called an erratic flight. Everybody say erratic. They have an erratic flight. And can anybody think of a reason why butterflies would want to fly in a crazy pattern as they're going somewhere? Write it in the comments. And I know there's a bit of a delay, so I'm going to move on before I answer that question, because this is an interesting one to think about. Why would a butterfly not want to fly in a straight line? And let's see, Megan says they have monarchs at their house. That's very exciting. And Melissa says we released five black swallowtails they found on their dill. Oh, Sophia said that. Sorry, Sophia. That's really exciting that you had 5 whole black swallowtails. I've only ever seen one. And you know what? It was in my garden near my dill plants, but it was on my bergamot, which is a flower. It was drinking the nectar. Yes, so I'm seeing people in the comments right now writing answers to that question I asked. And I asked, why would a butterfly want to fly in lots of crazy directions rather than straight away? Someone says to confuse predators. Another person says to wiggle off prey. That's interesting. Yeah, and scientists do think that it's because if they're flying all over the place, it's really hard for a predator to catch them, just because it's hard to predict where they're going to be. So it's easier for the butterfly to escape, which I think is kind of neat. All right, so butterflies can do all sorts of interesting maneuvers as they're flying. I have 2 different butterfly wings that we can look at today, and both of them are ones that I found that had already died and gotten eaten. So this one, I actually don't know what the species is. I tried looking it up really quickly before this class, but there's a lot of butterflies, and so I haven't exactly figured it out. So if there are any butterfly experts watching who know what this one is, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll try to figure it out, and maybe I'll add it in the comments later. So this butterfly, you can see that it's part of its body has been eaten, and this one is missing some of its wings. It's a little bit torn up, but their top wing is a very blue, it's an iridescent blue. So the word iridescent means that as the light hits it, if the light hits it in different directions, it will look like it's a different color. And there are lots of animals that are iridescent, and many birds have feathers that are iridescent. Some of the ones that I think of immediately when I think of iridescent bird feathers are grackles and starlings and crows, and let's see, what else? A lot of duck feathers, those dark mallard feathers, those can be iridescent too. So these feathers here, you can see sometimes they shine brighter blue and sometimes they shine darker blue. It feels really weird to hold a butterfly by its head. Don't do that with live ones. So this is the bottom wing of that butterfly. And you can see that it has a little blue and some browns and some striping along the edge. But this is the top part of the butterfly. So if I were to look at it like this is the wing that you would see. Now, if I flip it over, this is the underside of the butterfly. So if a butterfly is flying like this and it stops with its wings tall, you would see, this is what you would see when it stops its wings up high like that. And this side is a little bit duller. It's not iridescent. It's a darker color. And I think that's probably to help let the butterfly have a camouflage side and a side that's more showy. So someone else is saying that this might be a type of moth. And it's true. Butterflies and moths are very similar, and both of them can come out in the day or at night. Certain species prefer being nocturnal or diurnal. Nocturnal means they come out at night. Diurnal means they come out during the day. But just because you see it out during the day doesn't mean it's a butterfly. So you're right, this could be a moth. This doesn't have I guess the antennas are broken off. I know that moths often have very exciting antennas. They're very fuzzy to help them find pheromones, which are chemical signals that other moths release into the air. So I can't check this one's pheromones. I do also know that moths are often a lot fuzzier than butterflies, and this one does not look super fuzzy. So I'll have to look at moths if I don't find a good match for the butterfly. And the other butterfly I just have the wings, are monarch wings. And monarchs, everybody loves monarchs, and they are really important. And we know that they're a really cool species because they migrate between North America and Mexico every year. And for a butterfly to make a migration like that is just wildly impressive. Maybe we should have an entire lesson on monarchs. I think I'm going to make a note of that so we can do it later this summer when they're migrating. So this monarch wing also has a bright side and a duller side. And this bright side is the top of the wing, and this more pale yellow side is the underside of the wing. So we are going to look at both of these up close using my microscope. And before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the structure of a butterfly wing. So a butterfly's wing is made up of chitin, and it's spelled C-H-I-T-I-N. So it looks like chitin. It's chitin. And it's a hardened protein. And chitin is the same thing that makes up our hair and our nails. It's very similar to that. And then over that are all these tiny little scales. And those scales overlap on the butterfly's wing, kind of like shingles on a roof or fish scales, or feathers on a bird, actually. And they help protect the butterfly's wing. They make it a little bit stronger, and they insulate it. They really help soak up that warmth from the sun. Remember, butterflies are cold-blooded, so they don't produce their own body heat. They need to use the sun's energy to warm themselves up. So, should we look at them up close? Chloe says she loves butterflies. Excellent. I'm glad you're here. So I've got my microscope. I turn the little light on, and I'm going to clip it onto my phone now. And let's look at the monarch first. So I'm going to move my camera a little bit closer, put my microscope over the lens, zoom it in, and now let's look at this monarch. So this is the top of the monarch's wing. And this monarch, remember, has something ate it, and then its wings were laying on the ground, and then I found them. So this monarch has probably seen better days. So all of that white area on the wing there, those are where the scales have come off. But can you see all those little tiny scales in the orange and the black? And that's a neat thing too. Up close, that black looks like a very dark brown. It doesn't look quite like the black we see when we just look at it with our eyes. Let's look at the very edge. This is the black edge with those white spots. So the really white spots, those are scales that are white. But the paler areas, those are places where the scales are missing. It's really cool to see how tiny those scales are, even when we're looking at it through a microscope. And remember, this is the top part of the wing. Ariana says that the microscope is so fun and that she loves hers. That's awesome that you have one too. What have you looked at with your microscope? I want to know. Maybe it'll give me some good ideas for what we should look at. And these are the veins in the butterfly's wing. Or that's what we call them. All right, I'm going to flip it around. Let's look at the back of this monarch wing. Oh, Amy says, can we see the bottom? Do you mean the underside or the bottom edge of the wing? Because this is the underside. This is the side that's not so bright. It's actually a little easier to see the scales on this side. You can definitely see where they've all rubbed off. So that's a good thing to note. People and I have tagged monarch butterflies. And that is what happens. Scientists capture the butterflies using a net. They're very careful. We're looking at the bottom edge here, where those spots are. And when they tag them, they put a little sticker right on its wing in a special spot that won't affect the butterfly's flight. And that helps scientists track the butterflies when they're down in Mexico. But it's really important that you know how to handle the butterflies and that you can do it in a safe way, because you see all those white patches there where the scales have come off. We don't want that to happen. So that's a good reason not to hold butterflies unless you have a reason to. Like if you're a scientist trying to collect information and you've been trained at how to hold them, then that's an okay reason. But if you just want to catch one to look at it, it's better to just try to get close to it and look at it rather than trying to handle it, because we don't want to damage their wings. Okay. Let's see the other butterfly. Would you like to see the other butterfly? So this is its wing. This is the top part of its wing. And this butterfly has a lot more different colors on it. So the monarch is mostly oranges and yellows and a little bit of black along those stripes. But this butterfly has blues and grays and a lot of white. And it seems to me like the scales are smaller. But it is a smaller butterfly. I wonder if that's why. It also seems like this butterfly, has anyone ever seen the art style called pointillism or stippling, where you make lots and lots of little dots and all you ever do is make dots, but you change the color of the dots to help you make up a picture. This one seems like it's using lots of different dot colors to make up the blue. There's some gray, there's some lighter blue, there's some white. It seems like it's more like pointillism, whereas the Monarch, its yellow is mostly just yellow. It didn't need to mix scale colors to make that. That's interesting. Let's look at the other side now. Ooh. It looks so grainy with all those different colors in the scales. Well, if you all have any questions, please type them in and I will try to answer them. Remember, I am not an entomologist. I am an ecologist that specializes in birds. That is a cool area of the wing. So I will try to answer your questions. And this is where the wing got ripped. Here's the edge. Oh, it's neat how you can see the scales sort of hanging off the edge there. That's really cool. All right, I'm going to sit down again and flip the camera over. Oops, I'm blocking it. There we go. Hi, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to check the comments. So if you have any questions or want to see a specific part of the butterflies again, let me know. And I do actually have the head of this butterfly. It's still on here. Maybe we should check the head out again before we call it done. So I'm going to look at the comments. I don't see any questions. Oh, where did you get the microscope and what is it called? I got the microscope online and yeah, it was just on Amazon, Sherry. And I don't know that I can post the exact link because I don't want to be sponsoring them just because I'm currently working as a Madison Audubon employee. But if you just search for a microscope that clips to a smartphone, this one was very cheap. It was only $15. I think that should narrow it down for you quite a bit. And it's a really cool microscope. And it's only a dissecting microscope and it's only at a 60 times magnification. So you can't adjust how strong you're magnifying it all, which is a little frustrating sometimes because sometimes I don't want it to be so up close and other times I would like to get closer. But for the price, this is a really cool tool and it requires no apps. You just clip it on and it works with whatever camera app you're using on your phone. It's pretty cool. So Melissa or one of her kids asks, can we see the butterfly body? Yes, what's left of it. So remember that this butterfly got eaten before I found it. So a lot of the body is missing, but I would love to show you the parts that are still there. So I'm going to clip this back on and I will show you the rest of that butterfly's body. And actually, after we're done looking under the microscope, since this is a Microexplorers lesson, we are going to do some a little nature journaling. We're going to draw things life-size and larger than life. Oh, I like that someone just asked if we're doing 8-minute notes. So we're not doing 8-minute notes, but we are going to do nature journal writing. So if you would like to get your nature journals ready and some like a pen or a pencil, that would be a good thing to do right now. So this is the butterfly's head. Ooh, let's see if I can hold it still. You can see its 2 eyes and you can see the mouth parts that it uses to drink the nectar. I don't know exactly what it's called. I want to say proboscis, but I don't know if that's true. But it's curled up there. Oh, there it is. It just focused really nicely. It's those long tubes that are curly. That's what it uses to drink nectar. And you can see the butterfly's eye, and it's got some furry bits. I don't know if it's true fur, but it looks very fuzzy. And let's see if we can look on the underside of its body. See, when I'm doing something like this is when I wish my microscope would allow me to change how zoomed in I am, because this is a little close for how big this animal is. I'm trying to show you the legs that are folded up, but it's a little tricky. It's not really working that well. Let's look at the top of its head. Here's its eyes and its mouth again. Oh, other people are saying it is proboscis. Awesome! I like learning new science words or having old science words confirmed as true. Let's see, let's look at the side of its body. These are the sides of its legs. I don't know if this is a great view for what we have. There's another view of its mouth as its proboscis. Excellent. It's very curly. And I think maybe it would be curled differently if the animal was alive. Oops. There. Hi. Okay. So let's do some journaling. And if anyone else has more questions, you can type them in as we go. We're probably only going to journal for maybe 5 more minutes, and then the video will be over. So if you have questions, get them in now. Okay, so let's see. We're going to do Microexplorers journaling today. So the first thing we do as scientists is write the date on our paper. So it is July 14th, 2020. So you can either write out July 14, 2020, or you can write 7/14/20, and that's what I'm going to do. So I have my date at the top of my paper. If you want to practice, because it's always important when you're at school, you should put your name on the top of the paper. But mine is in my notebook, so I know it's mine. So I'm not going to do that. So what I would like to do is I want to have one part where we can draw the animal larger than life and one where we can draw it life size. So I'm going to make 2 circles on my paper. And if you want, you can find a cup or a bowl or something circular that you can trace to make it perfect, or you can just draw them. I'm just going to draw mine because it doesn't really matter if they're perfect to me. So I have 1 circle here and another circle here. 2 circles. All right, so in this circle, I think I'm going to write life size because this circle is bigger and I want to draw that bigger. So here I'm going to write life size. And here I'm going to write larger than life. Sorry about that, my internet got funny again. Okay, so now I think the Monarch Wing was a little bit easier to look at. So I am going to do the Monarch Wing. I'm going to hold it up for you all. And if you want to, you can draw it now. I'm probably only going to hold it up each one for about 2 minutes. So you can do a fast drawing or you can look it up online later, okay? And I'm going to try to draw and hold it and watch the clock all at once. So this is at life size. So I hope you all can see that well enough right there. And I'm going to try to draw it too, okay? Bye, Ariana. It was good to see you. Thanks for joining us. All right, so I'm going to draw my butterfly wing life size. And it doesn't have to be perfect. The drawing doesn't have to be perfect, and the size that you draw it doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. I'm going to draw some spots. I'm going to make the black border. It's tricky drawing and holding it and looking at the time all at once. And let's see. This window right here, this cell, that's called the mitten, and that's where you would put the sticker if you were tagging it. And let's see, the mitten comes like that. Looks like a little mitten. And now I have some windows. All right. And you know what? Since I'm only drawing in pen, I am going to also make a few notes about the color. So I'm going to write that this part is black, and I'm going to write that the lines in it are dark brown, and I'm going to write that this is an orangey yellow. So these are the notes I made, and I know they're all backwards, but I just wanted you to see that I didn't write a whole lot. I just wrote a little bit. You can write as much or as little as you want, and it doesn't have to be perfect. The spelling doesn't have to be right, because this is just for you, unless you want to practice spelling. That's important. I'm not a good speller. Okay, I'm going to hold this up for just another minute in case anyone's still drawing it. Oh, I forgot about this dot here. This dot on the monarch, that's only on the males. So I know that this monarch was a male. So if this was just a line like this one without this dot, then we would know it was a female. So I'm going to add that into my drawing. I'm going to put it right here, and then I'm going to make a little line and write male. So now I added that spot into my butterfly wing. Cool. Gotta stay hydrated. Okay, so now I'm going to put the microscope on, and it's actually really hard for me to draw and do this at the same time, so I'm just going to hold this. So I'm going to turn the little light on. Oops. There we go, my light's on. And flip my camera around. Put my microscope on it. Zoom it in a little. And, oops. Hold on. That's better. Okay, and now I'm going to show you the top part of the wing, so the brighter coloring. Let's find a good spot. I'm going to try to hold it right here, but it's just my hand holding it, so it is going to move around a little. So if you would like to draw this part for your Microexplorers notebook, now is the time. And I think if I were drawing, sorry it's moving around so much there, my camera got a little funny. If it were me drawing, I would add in those big lines that mark where the different windows are in the wing. And then I would maybe mark out some areas where the different colors were. And then I might draw a few of these scales on just a part of it, because it would be hard to draw the scales on the whole thing. I would just draw scales on part of it. So I think today I'm going to spend some time trying to figure out what that other butterfly was, because I'm very curious. And I'm working from home now, and so I'm going to sit at my table that looks out a window into my garden. And it's I have some bergamot out there that lots of pollinators like to visit. And if ever there's a time when there are a lot of bees or wasps or butterflies out, I might go and bring my camera and try to take a few pictures so that I can try to identify them later once I come back inside. Because I really like just looking at them when I'm out. I don't like flipping through screens. And I don't have any butterfly field guides. I would like to get one. But that's my plan for the day. Does anyone else have any good nature plans? Oh, someone says, can you show us the dot on the wing that means it's male? Yeah, let's go look at that. We are looking at it right now, and it doesn't look like much of a dot here, but it is a bigger condensed area of darker color. You can see all the scales there along the edge. Thanks for asking that question, Sophia. Looks cool seeing it up close. All right, and let's look at the edge one more time just because it's so fun with all those spots. I like it. All right, and if you need more time drawing, you can remember what it looks like, because you don't always have to have a reference. You can just draw from memory. But you could also look it up online. There are lots and lots of pictures of butterflies up close, and that was a monarch butterfly we were looking at. All right, everybody, so that is all I have for our butterfly wings lesson. If you have other lesson ideas or things you want to see up close under the microscope, let me know, add it in the comments. And if you want to share your Microexplorers drawing with me, I would love to see it. You can add that in the comments or send an email. And before we're all done, I just want to remind you all that our programming is free for anybody. All you need is an internet connection and a device to access the internet. And we know that's sometimes a barrier, but it's the best we can do right now. So if you have the means and really like our programming, we're gonna drop a comment that will have a link for where you can donate and support us. But if not, know that it will always be here for you, because nature is important and everyone needs a connection to nature, and we hope to be your connection to nature. Okay, everyone, I am really happy to be here, and I'm so excited you were all here. Oh, and someone suggested I should do one about bird feathers. I think we actually might. So next week is going to be birds again for our camp week, and I wanted to do something about bird feathers and color, and I thought that would be really fun with the microscope. So I'm so glad, Amy, that you're excited about that too. So as soon as we know when that'll be, we'll advertise it. Okay, so thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.